Yo, that's 3 foundation. Is that 3 walls high? Whoa, those are fucking huge. Looking pretty awesome. What's going on, guys? Mana here, and well, today we're going to be reacting to a video from OnFire944. All right, what it's going to be is 50 things only original ARC players will remember. Basically like an ASE versus ASA kind of thing. Real quick little news announcement. I know a lot of you have been sending me syntax videos to react to, and unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, he told us we can't anymore. I know, I'm not too excited because I had a lot of videos that I did react to. I had a lot of content that I recorded because honestly, I never really watched a lot of syntax videos. I've watched a few, you know, in the day, but I haven't really watched too many. So I started watching and I started reacting to them. Kind of good timing that he told me not to, because there was definitely some videos that I reacted to that if he didn't like that one, he wouldn't have liked the other ones for sure. But yes, he did leave a comment on his video saying, hey, don't do any more reaction videos, thanks. Okay, I did ask why. So syntax, if you do see this, please, I'm just wondering honestly why. 2, I mean, I really don't feel like I said anything wrong on your video. All I said was that I could think of is literally the Ravager comment where I was like, okay, that was a little over dramatic, but that was it. Super minute. Again, I know you're the big face of ARC. I understand that. And I thought, again, with ARC, you know, it would have been a little bit more of a community person, just in my opinion. I know you've done a lot of stuff for Extra Life, stuff like that. You know, obviously, you know, really look up to you on those kind of points. You know, a lot of people, you have a lot of attention, a lot of people that follow you. I just think, you know, maybe doing, you know, trying to help out more community stuff, especially that's what ARC really needs right now, is a lot of help making the community better. But anyway, I'm sorry you feel that way. I respect your wishes. I won't make any more. That's fine. But glad I saw that comment now before I released the other videos, because then you would have hated me. So anyway, on with the video.
The first thing is the old breeding system. Before, you couldn't just enable mating like you can now. You had to enable wandering, and the creatures would wander around, and that's how it would like enable the breeding mode. But the thing is, they would walk too far away and they would stop breeding, just like this with the T-Rexes, as you can see. So you'd have to make like basically contraptions like this, or you'd have gates surrounding them or a build surrounding them of some sort, so they didn't.
This shit was so annoying. Like, I'm so glad they turned this off. Like, oh god,
Wander too far and like stop breeding in the middle of it.
Sorry, they didn't turn it off. They added the mating thing instead of wandering. Misspoke.
And it was really annoying. You had to do that for every dino, and now you can just easily go up to them and enable mating, which is so nice because it actually makes it super easy, and they can just stand there. And you don't have to build a giant cage for every single dino you want to breed. And building used to be a huge pain back in the day because you couldn't pick stuff up. So basically now you can just pick up stuff whenever an ARC Ascended, but in ARC Survival Evolved you can pick it up 30 seconds after it was placed. They added that in the building update, which is in like 2018 or 2019. But before that, you literally just had to demolish everything. As soon as you placed it down, you couldn't pick it up at all. There's no timer or anything.
This shit was, I know I just said this, but this shit was so annoying. Like, it's crazy because the community like was just blasting wildcard like, yo, put this in here. They have it on unofficial with like S+ and stuff. Please just put it in there, put it in the game. I'm really surprised they never did. And then they made the whole Gen 2 exomech that would pick up the structures, and that thing was just amazing.
You just had to demolish it, which really sucked. And if you messed anything up, you lost all that. This one is a small one, but it is about flak armor. Everyone knows that you craft the flak armor in the smithy, but actually you used to have to craft it in the fabricator. Now, the proof I have of this is this extremely blurry screenshot that I found, but as you can see, it says it can be crafted at a fabricator.
I didn't know that.
Make it because it was the top tier of armor, and riot armor didn't exist. Next is the old UI. So this is what the UI looks like currently. ARC Survival Evolved anyway, and it looks very similar to ARC Ascended, but this is what it used to look like before, and this is what it looked like when I started playing. So this definitely brings back some memories of when I first started playing the game. But as you can see, it looks totally different, and I still kind of like it like that, even though the new one is probably better.
That's even a little bit before my time.
Next is the TLC update. So we all know like the Rex and stuff like that. They look like this now.
So I actually started playing, I think it was September 2018, and man, there was a whole bunch of, I mean, even from when I started to the end of ASE, bro, that was That was a huge change from then to the end of ASE, man. That was holy hell.
Now, but as you can see in these comparisons, they didn't used to look like that because they did multiple TLC updates changing what these dinos used to look like into what they look like now, and obviously they look way better. The Rex, as you can see on screen right here, and then the Spino has a huge change as well. With these updates, they would also give the dinos brand new abilities and stuff, like the RG got a bunch of weight reductions, and then the Raptor here had like a pounce ability that was added to it, so they would add all these new abilities to them and basically update them. So a lot of dinos have gone through this update, and the most recent one being the Mammoth and the Stego a few years ago. As you can see, this Mammoth does not look very good. The old one was not very good looking, and now it looks way better.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then the map changes. So the island looked completely different when it first came out. Obviously, when it first came out, the Ark was still in early access, so they hadn't finished the map yet. But as I'm showing the biomes on screen, like the Arctic, the Redwoods, and the Swamp, all of them weren't in the game yet. And as you can see, this is what the map looks like. I know the map is kind of like very desaturated, but I'm gonna basically show the colors here, like the blue area at the top where it was the Arctic, and that wasn't there, and the like orange area, the Redwoods, which is there now, wasn't there either, and the swamps weren't there at all. Basically, it was like the same jungle biome and beaches throughout the entire map until eventually those biomes got added. And this is another small one, but I know the old players will remember it, and it's when rare mushrooms used to be the main food source. Now when you eat a rare mushroom, it blinds you for a long period of time, but it used to be they didn't do that at all, and they actually gave you a ton of food, so people would eat these as their main food source over cooked meat. But now, of course, they blind you, so you can't do that anymore. And then finally,
I remember my buddy Jason. You're gonna appreciate this. Um, my buddy Jason actually told me about this before. He was early access. But anyway, he was telling me about, instead of using meat and stuff like that, that they would use rare mushrooms. That's really funny that he brought that up.
Finally, the crafting skill. The crafting skill didn't used to exist. Before, it was actually crafting speed, which basically made it faster. Crafting skill now does that as well. It makes it faster, but it also makes it to where it increases the percentage of the items you craft, making them have a chance to make them better, basically. But it used to just be crafting speed, as you can see right here.
Oh.
Number 9 is the old kibble system. This used to work a lot different than it does
now.
Basically, every single dino that laid eggs had its own kibble, and then each dino would want a specific type of kibble from a different dino. So, for example, the Quetzal would want Rex kibble, I think, and then the Gigas would want Quetzal kibble. And so you'd have to basically make egg farms for every single dino in the game, so you could be able to use kibble for all those dinos and get the best taming effectiveness.
That was also before my time, and my God, I would have been pissed. And bless everybody that that used that kibble system. Oh shit! Like that's how people on Switch, man. Like I don't know how they do that. Oh my God, that would blow. I mean, it's cool in a way. Like I think it's cool like to have some kind of weird system like that to make it more interesting. You have to get these dinos, and stuff like that to get these. And I like it, but. No, I would have got bored of that real quick, man.
And number 10 is the map changes on Ragnarok. Basically, when Ragnarok first came out, it was just half the map complete, and the entire desert biome wasn't there. You could kind of
I thought it was the left half.
Complete, and there was a big border there. And I remember people theorizing what they were gonna make there, and I remember hearing people say that they were gonna be like whirlpools in the sand, which I guess would have been kind of cool. But of course,
I thought it was left half and then right half.
Pretty cool either way.
I was wrong.
After that, at number 11 is the stack sizes. Basically, a lot of the items and resources in the game used to have way less stack sizes. For example, metal would only stack to 200, and raw meat would only stack to 20. And now raw meat stacks to 40, metal stacks to like 300.
Thank God.
They changed this with a bunch of different resources.
I was there for that one.
Made it a lot easier with the stack sizes and made it easier to deal with. Number 12 is there was more slots in things like the smithy and the mortar pestle now. Before they had way less slots. As you can see, the smithy had 60 slots, but now it has 75. The mortar and pestle had 12, and now it has like 24, which is way better. Number 13 is the flyer nerf. I remember back in like 2017, basically one day they did a nerf on the flyers, making it to where you couldn't upgrade movement speed on them, as well as just nerfing a bunch of their stats and making them way worse. This was extremely controversial when it came out. And I remember I didn't know this happened, so I just logged on one day and my Quetzal was insanely slow and could barely move. And I was so confused on what happened, and all of its speed was gone that I pumped on it. And number 14 is the Ascendants used to be red. As you can see, I think it looked a lot better like this, in my personal opinion, because I think, I don't know, it just matched more and made it look way cooler. Basically, this matched with the red supply drops as well, because those were the best supply drops, and then the red was the best of all of the rarities and stuff. So I think it matched a little bit more, but I think most people definitely remember when the Ascendants used to be red.
I
This is
don't.
a really old
That was
one, and I
before
don't
me.
remember it because I wasn't playing at this time, but I got a bunch of comments about it, so I thought I would include it. But basically, Gigas, when they first came out and they were wild, they had 300,000 health, which is absolutely ridiculous. They were completely
Holy
overpowered. As
shit.
well as, I think when you tame them, they had around 80k health, which is what they have in the wild now, so that is pretty crazy. And you can see the
Dude.
Gigas were absolutely monstrous back then. So now when you die, there's a death beacon. Arc Ascended, there's the little last death thing, but Arc Survival Evolved, there's the death beacon, the green beam that goes up above your body when you die. But originally they didn't have that, and for the longest time they didn't have it. So every time you died, your stuff was extremely hard to find, especially if it was like in a bunch of tall grass or something like that. It was almost impossible to find it because it was just in that little bag with no indicator of finding it. This next one is another one related to Ragnarok. Now
I would really love to see that back on official, especially because I'm with him because that sucks. Like I really do miss that beacon. I mean, yeah, the death little token counter marker thing, it's so buggy, dude, that I don't know, it'd be one place and it's actually like over a little bit or it disappears for some reason. I mean, hell, we see that all the time in the Discord, man. That sucks.
The Ice Wyvern is probably one of the coolest looking wyverns in the game. It looks absolutely fantastic.
My man. That's what I'm talking about. I totally agree. Until we got the Crystal Isles. But yes, I totally agree.
With a bunch of ice spikes on its head. But originally it was just a reskinned lightning wyvern. It literally just was lightning wyvern, but it had like these kind of like light bluish colors, and then it had the ice breath. And I'm so glad that they redesigned it because it was really lazy looking, and it kind of made the ice wyvern not as cool as it was now.
Agree.
This next one is another really old one, but basically bosses did not used to have boss arenas when they first came out, so they would just spawn at the obelisk, and they were basically world bosses. Which nowadays that would be like extremely easy. You could literally just like spawn the boss and then have like 50 gigas or car jars and just kill it within a matter of seconds. So obviously it makes sense that they have the boss arenas now.
I haven't heard anybody say car jars in a long time. That's been a while. It's been a while. But that's cool. Honestly, I would love that back.
Also, the boss arenas are really cool, but you didn't used to do that. You just had to fight them right at the obelisk. This one is the Night Sky.
I can see that being a pain in the dick, though. Especially on the island. Bro, those things knocking your shit off. Oh, man, I'd be pissed. But, I mean, that is cool. I'd really love it if it was in the wild. But, you already know, people are going to be luring shit.
If you notice, the Night Sky now has basically like a giant galaxy, and there's tons of stars, and you can see the moon moving. But
a lot better.
To have all of that, it was basically just like black with a few specks of scars in the sky. Now I couldn't find any pictures of this because it was a really long time ago. I do remember the update this was added though, because I remember I was playing and just noticing the huge sky. I was like in awe of the new update that added this huge sky, and I think it looks really nice now. Number 20 is the center did not have a redwoods biome. Before, there was just nothing out here. The ocean would just keep going, but when they added the redwoods to the island, I think it was sometime around there, they ended up adding the redwoods to the center as well. And I think it looks really dope on the center, this whole area. And it was definitely...
I was going to say, I'm like, there's definitely a redwood, but yeah, that's right. Forgot who told me that. I think it was my buddy Dean. I think he said that.
Definitely a nice change when it was
If
added.
I'm not mistaken. Now I can't remember who said it.
Obelisk terminals. They used to look like this. It's still like this on the center and the Crystal Isles.
See, those look
cool. Shows
cool.
you how old Crystal Isles is. But it used to be like this for the island and every single map that was in the game at the time. And I'm really glad they changed it because it was really hard to get Rexes and other dinos on here.
Yes.
And, like, actually fit
looks
all of
cool
them inside because it was just so jagged and all kinds of stuff. And it was like lifted off the ground too. So it was really annoying to try and get them on here. So I'm glad they changed it, made it flat and really easy to fit all your dinos in there. Next is the Tech Cave. So when the Tech Cave was first added, I remember they added it and it didn't have an Overseer boss fight, and we didn't know about the boss fight either, so it was just a Tech Cave that they added. You'd go through the whole thing and then you'd do the Ascension at the end with the little portal, and then that was it. There was no Overseer fight or anything. You just get your Ascension right there, which obviously makes it way easier than having to fight the Overseer. And the Overseer would end up being added months later, and I think the reason they didn't add it is because they weren't finished with the Overseer fight, so they just decided to add the tech cave anyway, and I'm glad they waited because the Overseer fight ended up being really great. Next is the moss chops. Originally, you couldn't ride moss chops, which made them kind of useless because their ability you could still use, but basically you had to put them on wander and like have them wander in an area and gather it, and it was really like annoying, and nobody I don't really
that would
use it. I know
suck.
I didn't use it. Maybe some people did, but once they made it rideable, it became extremely useful because you could ride it around.
Oh, hell
all
yeah.
the resources you want because it gets tons of fiber and other resources as well, so it made the moss chops extremely useful. I remember getting on one day and then going up to one of my moss chops and then it said ride, and I was really confused, and then I rode it, and I remember thinking that it looked really weird the way you rode on it, but I guess I've just gotten used to it over the years. Next thing is Titanoboas. Back with the old kibble system, which I talked about in the first video, every type of animal had kibble, and each one basically you made with eggs, but one of the ones that was the hardest to get was Titanoboas because you couldn't tame the Titanoboa, but you needed Titanoboa eggs for multiple creatures, and there were creatures that you really wanted, so Titanoboa eggs were extremely valuable and extremely hard to get since you couldn't tame them at all. People would make like traps for them and basically have like huge pens where a bunch of Titanoboas could like circle around, and then they would go like basically drop eggs, and then you'd have to like drop in there and grab all the eggs without getting attacked by them, and it was quite crazy. And once they made them tameable, it made it way easier, and then they removed the kibble system entirely, which basically made all of this redundant.
You know, titty boas are pretty cool though, man. I really do. I personally like them. I don't know. I like them for some reason. It's really want to have a blast like taming some weird shit. Like just grab like 20 of them. It is kind of cool. But oh my god, not being able to tame them and do that. Ugh. Thank God they got rid of that kibble system.
And then we have the old volcano. This is probably the one I got the most comments about, and I'm surprised I didn't
use
old ones. But basically, the volcano didn't have the tech cave, so this was even before that old tech cave thing I was talking about. And then it just didn't have any of the lava. It was just a flat little plateau, and it was full of metal. It was the best metal spot in the entire game, easily. You could come here and get as much metal as you possibly need.
Yes, sir.
It's just littered throughout here. And you definitely, it looks weird looking at it now, just having this really flat area. But
it's weird.
Spot. And I remember I built one of my first bases here, and I had it so I could get a bunch of metal, and then I logged on one day to find out that my entire base is just gone because they were about to update and add the tech cave, which I didn't know about, so I was just horrified when I logged on and my entire base was gone. Luckily, it was only half of my base. I had the other half, like, on the other side of the island, but I still lost half of my base and all my good resources and metal and stuff. Next, we have the old vaults. Basically, vaults used to be way bigger, as you can see by the size comparison. On the right is the new vaults, and on the left is the original vaults. They were absolutely massive, and it was absolutely crazy. Also, you couldn't pick them up either, because that was how the old building system was. So you had these huge vaults, and if you messed up the placement, you couldn't pick them up. You had to demolish them, so it was quite important, and they were absolutely huge, and you couldn't fit them anywhere, and I'm so glad they made them smaller, because you can actually fit them into places and actually have them in your builds now.
Wait a minute. How many walls high is that? Because that looks like a found. Yo, that's 3 foundation. Is that 3 walls high? Whoa, those are fucking huge. Wow, that would suck. That would blow. Wow, dude. Am I about right? I'm pretty sure that's 3 walls high. Holy shit balls. Yeah, that'd be a pain in the dick, dude. Wow, that's pretty cool though.
And then we have the old menu. This was very similar to the old UI, which I mentioned in the first video, but I did want to mention it because it is a little bit different. As you can see right here, they were both changed in the same update, I'm pretty sure, but it was a lot different, this old menu. And I remember having the maps in the top left, because when I started, I think there was only 3 maps. There was the center, the island, and square.
Yeah, but I like how self-explanatory it is. Like, look at the daytime speed, player damage, that kind of stuff. I mean, it is relatively the same now, in my opinion, in a way. But yeah, I kind of like that.
But you couldn't land with flyers. The flyers could land themselves, but you couldn't be on them when you landed them. So basically, if you just went to land, it would go straight off, and the flyer, instead of just immediately landing, it would go fly off somewhere. And it would be really annoying because you'd have to go chase it down. Sometimes it would automatically land, and sometimes it would just fly off really far. And yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm glad they added it for this one.
Why wouldn't you? You had a flyer. Why would you not?
Didn't used to exist.
Like, put that in there.
A fish or a quail or something, you didn't get raw fish meat like you do now. You just got raw meat, just like everything else. So pretty much Raw fish didn't exist. It was just raw meat in the game, and that was all you could get. And raw fish was eventually added at some point later, but they didn't have that.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
For everything. And then we have the taming meter. Now, when you go to tame something and you put its stuff in its inventory, you can see a little progress bar that has a percentage. But before, the progress bar would go up and there'd be no percentage. As you can see right here, it would just say taming ... And you never know how much it would actually need to go up. I remember when they added the percent bar, I was so happy to actually be able to see the exact percentage of when it was taming.
No shit.
You have the old combat music.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Combat music for every different biome, and every different biome has different music depending on the time of day, whether it's day or night. But it literally just used to be the combat music for day and then nighttime, and I definitely remember the sound of it. It's actually still in the game. You can find it in some different biomes, but it's like a different remix version of it. And then I'll let it play out here so you can hear it. But the thing is, I can't, no matter what I do, try and get the original version of it. But I do have the version that's currently in the game. It's really similar, but it's not exactly the same. But I'll let it play out because it is pretty similar.
Oh yeah. God, I haven't heard that in a little bit. That's old. Because I think they had another one on top of this.
And yeah, that track is absolutely amazing. And of course it is still in the game, but originally that one was the one you'd always hear when you were getting attacked. There was another one too, which I'll have playing in the background.
I feel like I remember another one.
But moving on to the next thing is that max levels used to be 120. There was no 150s. 150s did not exist. It was just the 120, and that was the max level of all the creatures. And I believe they changed it when the center came out. And I think, don't quote me on this because I'm not entirely sure, but I think 150s were only on the center for a little bit before they eventually came to every map. I could be wrong on that though. And then we have the old crafting sounds. We talked about the old HUD, but with the old HUD there was the old crafting sounds as well, which I didn't really talk about. But of course, every time I hear these sounds, it brings me right back to when I first started playing. So I'll let those sounds play out. And then we have the old ladders. Now when you climb the ladder, there's actually, you know, like an animation of you climbing up the ladder. But before, there was no animation. You didn't see your arms or anything. You'd kind of just float up the ladder until you got up to the top. There was none of this animation. I don't really weird look there. Those arms look weird on this one, but I'm pretty sure older players will definitely remember before the animation when you just would float up the ladders. But then another old thing is the icons for when you were hot or cold, or when you had some sort of like buff or debuff, whatever. They were all on the bottom left instead of the bottom right. And now they're at the bottom right, next to your health stats and all that stuff stack up. But before they were all just on the left, and I don't know. They just changed it one update. I think it was when they changed the HUD, but I might be wrong on that. I do remember when they changed it though, because it's kind of just a random change. They just moved it from the left to the right, but it did definitely used to be on the left, as you can see here.
Honestly, I think I remember
this one,
that.
I don't really remember because I wasn't playing this long ago, but the old gunpowder. Basically, gunpowder looks like this now, as most people do know, but when the game first came out, it looked like this, just like a clump of like gray ash. It's just a little bit of a difference, but I thought I'd throw it in there for the people that have been playing since the very beginning, so that you can tell the difference between gunpowder, because it did definitely look different back then. And finally, I have the dossiers. Now, in order to get dossiers, you have to go find it in a Helena Walker note, and you'll find them all across the map. But before, you just got them from killing the dinosaur or whatever. I think taming it or killing it, you would get the dossier for it, which is kind of how it works with DLC creatures.
I remember somebody saying that.
Like if you go to like Lost Island and get like an Amargasaurus tamed or killed, you get the dossier for it. It kind of worked like that basically for all the dinosaurs before they eventually added all the dossier notes and stuff. Number 39 is the artifact crates. Now if you go up to artifacts, they actually like show the artifact that you're about to get. But before, they just looked like any generic loot crate box. And then you'd open it up and you'd just get the artifact from that. Number 40 is when you were creating a new survivor, it didn't say human as the name. It actually just said Joe or Bob. And it was out of those two, it would just automatically pick, I believe, which is kind of funny. Honestly, I kind of wish they kept it like that. Yeah. Number 41 is the obelisk colors. They actually changed these positions. So green obelisk was where red obelisk is now. And then red obelisk was where blue obelisk is now. And then the blue obelisk is where green obelisk is now. Kind of complicated to say all that, but yeah, they were all in different positions. Number 42 is they actually changed the name of the dinosaurs. The Triceratops that it is now used to be called the Trike, and the Brontosaurus used to be called Bronto. They did this with a lot of creatures. They used to be just like abbreviations, and then they made it their full name in one random update. Number 43 is during the first Winter Wonderland, the entire map was covered in snow. And I really wish they would have kept doing this, because I think this was awesome, and I never really got to experience it. But yeah, the entire island map got covered in snow completely. I think it even changed the spawns of some dinos, too. Number 40...
See, I think that's cool. You know, that's like the whole GTA thing, man. Like, where it's like, when it's wintertime, you know, maps change and shit. You know? But now it's like, that would be cool. I would love that.
Is you could not attack while landed with flyers. If you landed and you were getting attacked by something or needed to kill something, you just couldn't attack at all, and you'd have to start flying if you wanted to do that. But now you can just do as many attacks as you want on the ground, which is a quite nice change. Number 45 is when you had levels, it didn't actually show you how many levels you had. You just said level up available, and you could have had 20 levels, you could have had 1 level, and it wouldn't tell you. You just had to randomly pump them and then kind of just guess how many you had. Number 46 is mate boosted creatures would just say mate boosted with a purple text instead of the heart. The heart is definitely a lot better now, rather than just having mate boosted as the text.
Agreed.
And number 47 is Quetzals flying towards 50-50 when they were attacked. I remember when I went to go tame my first Quetzal, or when taming a Quetzal, literally everyone would always say like, oh, be careful because it's going to fly to 50-50 when you attack it. And I've tried testing that now, and it doesn't seem to fly to 50-50 anymore. I think it might have used to. But it used to be a lot bigger deal back in the day. I remember everyone was talking about it when you'd go to tame a Quetzal, that it would start flying towards 50-50, and you don't really hear that anymore at all. Like, I don't think I've heard that in years.
Yeah, no, I fly all over the place now.
The camera changes with the Pteranodon. Before, this is what it used to look like, and notice how the feet go off screen when you were riding on the Pteranodon before. But and then if we go to a picture of it now, or a video, as you can see, the feet are way farther from the screen. You're kind of way more zoomed out than you were before. I remember when they changed this, because I just got on, hopped on my Pteranodon, and I was like, whoa, like, this is completely different. And of course, I've just gotten used to it over the years, and maybe some people didn't even realize it used to be like that, but they definitely have changed it. Number 49 is the training dummy. As you can see now, it actually looks like kind of like a person, or at least kind of, not really. But it used to look like this, and you'll notice the like little item or icon for it, it still looks like that, but they used to look like that in the old days. Number 50 is the Phoenix wasn't originally on Scorched Earth when it came out. I feel like most people, if you didn't play Scorched Earth for the first year that it was out, you probably wouldn't have known this, as it was added with the launch of Ark Survival Evolved, which was after Scorched Earth came out, like a year after. So the Phoenix wasn't originally on there. It's the only creature to be added to a DLC after its release. But that is all 50 things only original Ark players will remember. Kind of decided to put all of these together as like a finale, because I've done a decent amount of these now. Like,
I don't know if that last one's true. I want to say that they did add. He did say that, right? I'm gonna have to think about that. I thought there was something else that got added after the map was released. Is it one of the Genesis ones? That still blows my mind. All right, everybody, that wraps up the video. If you guys did like it, please just do me a favor, hit that like button. And yeah, if you like content like this, you like survival games, stuff like that, you like cards, we're gonna plan on doing a lot, baby, right here, man. Full game, you know what I mean? All right, I love you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you.